Look, isn't our world beautiful? As beautiful, as interdependent, as interconnected our world is, there's something tearing us apart. There's a battle going on out there between hope and fear. And I firmly believe that we have at our fingertips the opportunity to put an end to this battle by looking at past world history, by looking at recent events and events going on right now, and asking ourselves 3 simple questions. What type of world do we want to live in? What type of world do we want the next generations to inherit? And what simple steps can each of us take to tip the balance from fear to hope? Welcome to the culture of fear. I know something about fear. For over 25 years, I've been accompanying people who face fear many days of their lives. When they step outside of their front door, they leave their comfort zones behind. Who are they? They are global executives and their families who move from country to country, navigating the currents of globalization and the complexity of culture. Their fears can be simple as not speaking the local language, to more oppressive fears of safety in dangerous countries where interracial or interreligious tensions run high. Tell me, is it dangerous to live in the United States? When recently asked that question, my thoughts went to an article I'd read on Atlantic Online. They compared gun deaths in the United States with the deadliest places to live in the world. Do you know that Phoenix, Arizona equals Mexico in gun homicides? I always thought of Phoenix as a golfing or retirement community. So that added to my fear. When answering the question, I decided not to discuss gun deaths. We discussed how we manage fear. I've always been curious to understand how some people manage fear better than others. My interest in comfort zones and cultural intelligence helps me to understand. Let's start with comfort zones. When I kick off workshops, I ask people to share a time when they were pushed outside of their comfort zone. Recently, a Spanish colleague, Jose, talked about his monthly global conference call. Everybody was checking in. How are you? Great. But poor Jose had one of those horrible head colds with a stuffed up nose. So he said, "Ugh, I'm constipated." Silence. No, congested. Sorry, wrong word, congested. Jose's ability to bounce back by admitting his mistake led to laughter. Think of a time when you were pushed outside of your comfort zone. How did you feel? How did you handle it? You see, we can't talk about comfort zones unless you know what it's like to be pushed outside of it. We usually take them for granted. Then one day, an embarrassing choice of words or actions pushes us outside. The fear of rejection makes us blush, or even worse, makes us shy away from others. And this is the exact opposite of what we need. In times of discomfort, we need each other. We, as human beings, are social beings. Research going on by Naomi I. Eisenberger, a professor at UCLA who studies social neuroscience, has shown that social connection is a need as basic as air, water, and food. And like these more traditional needs, the absence of social connection causes pain. And that pain can be as painful as a broken bone. We, as humans, seek to belong. It is our greatest joy and our greatest disappointment. It is joy because we have the capacity to self-organize. We form cultures, families, organizations, networks. It is a disappointment because cultures tend to categorize, label, and exclude. The in-group versus the out-group. Us versus them. The right way to do something versus the wrong way. But wait a minute. Can one culture always be right and the other one wrong? If we think that our culture is always right, then we are not open to differences. We shut down, or worse, lash out when faced with contradictions of our deepest beliefs. And we stop listening to differences of opinion. If we let this happen, we cultivate fear. In today's 24/7, 365 world, where volatility and uncertainty surround us, there is fear. It's human nature. When pushed outside of our comfort zones, the limbic system of the brain detects a threat, sends a message to the amygdala, triggering the fight, fright, freeze reaction. So what's the alternative? Certainty and stability? Sounds like Aldous Huxley's book, The Brave New World. What's our choice? Well, we could always follow the advice of my favorite childhood musical, The King and I. Whenever I feel afraid, I whistle a happy tune. Oh, no. Okay, that can't work. I can't sing, and I can't whistle. So that's not going to work. What can we do, seriously? We all need to stand up and voluntarily step outside of our comfort zones. All it takes is courage. We've all seen what courage looks like on people's faces, painted on walls and monuments. We are not afraid. Only tears, no fears. In order to find this courage, we need to dig down deep within ourselves. If we don't, we'll become like snails, coiled up in our protective shells, waiting for the world around us to change. Sorry to disappoint you, but this world is not going to change unless we each commit to stepping outside of our comfort zone. But how? With curiosity. What's curiosity? Asking questions about yourself, about others, about the world around us. This is how we learn to embrace the fear of the unknown. Look at the fabulous medical discoveries that have come out of the fear of disease. Remember, asking questions and getting answers, because ignorance is not bliss. A 12th century philosopher once said, ignorance leads to fear. Fear leads to hate. Hate leads to violence. So I'm just suggesting that we replace ignorance by curiosity. I'm sure we can agree that curiosity leads to open minds and global worldviews. And this is the answer to closed minds and tunnel vision. And this brings us to cultural intelligence. Culture is a double-edged sword. On one side, it gives us a sense of stability. We all need guidelines as to how we do things. On the other side, some of the global executives I work with are hired specifically by multinationals for their cultural intelligence. Then, when they integrate the organization, the company wants them to blindly adopt the corporate culture. Don't rock the boat. Learn to fit in. This can lead to a fear of disruption, which cuts off the flow of information, the very lifeline of a corporation. Fear can stomp out motivation and innovation. And this is when culture becomes an enclosure. If we allow this to happen, we stop listening. It's the end of dialogue, which will then lead us to the land of cultural ignorance where the seeds of hate and violence grow. Culture is complex. It cannot be reduced to a simple set of stereotypes of an entire nation of people, race, or religion. We are all born with different talents and personalities. We are not born with hate. It is in our cultural environments where we learn to link fear with hate. So let's agree that fear is a natural physiological response to being outside of our cultural comfort zones. Fear serves a purpose, and that purpose can be one of hope. If we keep curiosity at the heart of social dialogue and find our fears, the courage that we'll need to express our fears, if we can do this, we will learn to build bridges across cultural, linguistic, generational, and gender divides. But yet this takes practice. So I'm going to invite you not to wait till you're pushed outside of your comfort zones. The global executives I work with, they don't ask to go to dangerous countries. No one asks to lose a loved one or reinvent their lives after a tragedy. Yet, when faced with an unwanted reality, the very strength of our human nature emerges, releasing our inner courage and the desire to reach out to others. Our need for social connection is how we manage our fear. So let me invite you to dig down deep. Label those fears, preventing you from releasing your inner courage. Identify the ones you can overcome and work on them. By doing this, you will feel the joy as hope replaces fear. And that's how life needs to be lived, in a state of awe and amazement, with courage and curiosity. Ask yourself, what fears are emotionally blocking you from building bridges?